Hello, it's Lindsay from the Vintage Button, and we're doing some slow stitching today. I make things from old things that already exist, and we're going to make a needle book. And I've just thought, I've brought my pile of things, but I haven't actually brought one of my needle books. Oh, I've got a little pile of needle books here. So, needle books are a bit of a rite of passage for slow stitchers. According to a lady, I used to organise and facilitate community activities in a very trendy area of Mill Road in Cambridge. Trendy. Not what I did wasn't trendy, but the area was. And I used to organise groups, and one of them was a sewing group where we taught young mums how to use a sewing machine. And the lady who ran the group said that making a needle book was like a rite of passage of somebody learning to sew. And I was like, I don't think it is. I made loads of things before I made a needle book. But then I thought, that does make certain sense, because it takes like a basic skill level to make it. I mean, very basic, a running stitch. And it's something that is useful. So it's kind of like you're building your own resources as you're doing it. So, subsequently, I've taught my own workshops, slow stitch workshops, sort of in the community, and I've made things like this. This was taught in a community workshop, made in a community workshop. They're probably all stuck together because that's what ends up happening with my needle books. But as you can see, lots of needles, a bit stuck together, and this actually goes into one of my workshop totes for, I think, is that making denim skirt workshop? I don't know, I can't remember. It's in one of my workshop totes. This is another quick one that's been made during a workshop, and I actually ended up taking this to a job. I got made redundant from that job. I waffle. And I took this to the new job that I had, and in the break time I used to make little stamped birds and back them on felt, and then they could be used as elements. And so we've got these sort of elements that are just stamps that you use in your junk journaling or your card making. If you use like a StazOn or an alcohol based ink, you can stamp them on fabric. You can heat seal them with an iron or leave them for a very long time and it won't wash out. So this is actually the first, it's not my first ever needle book, because I made needle books as a child, or little sewy stitchy things when I was a child. I think this is the first one I made when I was thinking about the Vintage Button, because it's got a Vintage Button label on. So it's as old as my daughter. So my daughter's 16, and it's either a little bit younger or it's as old as she is. And it's got lots of snippets of material that I've made other things from, but I've just really loved the pattern. I remember this material fondly. And it's got little bits and pieces in. So inside it's quite elaborate. We're not going to make something this elaborate inside today, because I figure you can do that in your own time, really, you know, once you start making one. So I've got a few on my table here, and I have some in my craft stall stash that will probably end up on Etsy or in an advent calendar. I've got an idea for luxury handmade advent calendars. So these are ones that I've come up with just this morning as I was fiddling around thinking, how do I do a video of all the process without you sitting here while I make one from scratch? So I've come to the conclusion of doing stages. So let's put this to one side because that's the last stage, that's the next to last stage. That's pretty much nearly there. But I've started off with these ones with fabric sample books. Now, again, during the pandemic, I've told this story numerous times in different videos. I didn't have anything and I needed to craft, and I didn't want to spend any money because I was furloughed and I knew they were going to make me redundant. You know, you just know. And so we needed to save as much money as possible. And then the landlord decided he wanted to put the rent up as well, you know, because he's just a lovely person like that. So we then knew that we had to buy a house. So we were saving everything and I didn't want to spend any money at all. And we looked around for free things during the lockdown, and the scrap store was giving away fabric sample books, and I got 8 fabric sample books that were quite big, chunky sample books, and I'm still wading my way through now 4 years later. I'm coming to the end of it, but I'm still wading my way through. And the sample books were quite big, bigger than this table, but they would have different sections in that would have smaller bits in. And these are the smaller bits that I can't really do much. If I try to take, some of them's quite loose, if I try to take this paper off, it'll wreck it, so it would mean just cutting that little bit out. I have plans that I've got lots of these edges that I think I'm going to make tags and things with, but these little pieces need something doing to them, and they're perfect for needle books. Because if you think, there we go, needlebook automatically. So I'd like the more substantial material to be on the front, and then this material on the back. And let's see, so that's viscose, cotton, polyester, and that's viscose and silk. And I've got some really nice, like 100% shot silk type bits of material that I've covered journals with, like really big pieces out of this lot. I will be on the hunt soon for a new source of these, because they've been just so useful for junk journaling and slow stitching, really. So you make yourself a little book, and then you go into all your little bits and pieces. If you're like me, you have little bits and pieces. If not, you can cut up bits of clothing. That's like, this is like a bit of scarf that's quite nice. You know, you could do all kinds of things. So we've got like a little bit of scarf, a little bit of lace trim, we've got a butterfly, and then I might go, because I have 500 billion vintage buttons in various containers all through my house. This is what goes in my sewing box. But then you might try and find a button that will sort of pull all of this together. Come on, Lindsay. Let's try, like, I was thinking like a greeny colour. Pulls all that together, and because I'm the vintage button and I've had these for donkey's years, then I can just put a little vintage button label on there at some point or someplace. So even can be a little bit tilted like that. So once you decide what you want to do, you then stitch it. This is what I've done here. I've got one of my little stamp birds that's been sort of whip stitched onto a piece of felt, then fussy cut out. I've put a button on. I've used the button to start attaching it to this leaf before I attached it to the back, and there's all my messy stitching. And it is literally a running stitch or a whip stitch. Very easy stitches. Just using different coloured cottons and thread that I've like doubled up. So there's like 4 strands on the needle. I don't know if you can see that there's like 4 strands on the needle because I've sort of doubled it up. Whipped it all on. I've not put the little vintage button tag on yet, but I'll do that at some point. And these are the cottons that I'm using. There's a video for a huge vintage haul, vintage and antique haul that I got about a couple of weeks ago, I think it is. But it's just, I'm blown away by it now. Even though I have jars of these things on my little shelves. I'll do a tour of my shelves. I've done a tour of my room, but I've also got some storage shelves on the landing that one day I'll do a tour of, probably one weekend. So, you know, I already have these, but I've just got so many colours now. I'm just blown away by them. And they're in this beautiful little cabinet, and it was like £8, and I was just, I can't spend any more money on things. after I had a little spree with my tax money. But there we go. So using those cottons, doubling it and doubling it over. Any cotton, any cheapy cottons you can get that, you know, have a root through what you've already got. You've probably got more than one colour. It would actually not, it wouldn't look bad if that was all black. It would highlight it out. Yeah, it would be fine. Black and white. Or a brown, perhaps. Depends what colours you've got. Excuse me. I'll go have a drink and a yawn. Oh, I didn't sleep very well last night. That's a middle-aged lady's bane, I think. So there we go. We're at that stage where we've done that. We've put our pretty bits on the front. We're sure that's where we want to go. And then, just using a running stitch, you put your other piece on the back. If you can see, this is an even smaller piece than these pieces, but it's still going to make a really sweet little needle book. And it saved, you know, quality pieces of fabric going in the landfill, because that's just where they would end up. If they're not used into something, they would end up in the landfill. So we're just going to go in and out, running stitch. It's the stitch, you know, little children do. I taught my daughter how to sew when she could, like, when she was a toddler, really, before she went to school, because it was when we used to live in a different town. And I clearly remember she used to do these stitcheries. I would give her felt washcloth she got from Poundland and cut pieces out and give her a thick needle, because it would go through, and she would make stitcheries, just sewing little hearts and butterfly shapes that I've cut out of the cloth. Or sometimes I used to give her a paper plate so that she'd be like an embroidery hoop and she could put things on. I used to work from home before it was even like anybody thought about working from home. I used to work from home with her, and so I had to keep her busy. And learning how to cut up with scissors when she was a toddler and slow stitching, I used to get like an hour out of it, which would be really handy. But there we go. You just literally run a stitch all the way around. This stitch is not it's really good for holding fabric to fabric, because there's no tension, you know, it's not pulling against one another. Running stitch, whip stitch is where you just sort of, instead of going in and out, you just sort of go up and around. You can kind of see what a whip stitch is with this. It's just up and around. And it's how you put on appliques on messily, I guess. So you do that all the way around. Then when you've done that all the way around, this is my next one. It's got a little bit of this lovely old ribbon that I got in a lot of stuff that was on Facebook Marketplace for free when we lived in Cambridge. Somebody was giving like their mum's craft supplies away, and I got a lot of like little bits and pieces, and there was packs of this ribbon that's just beautiful. So yeah, so that's on there because I just thought it was nice with this sort of very muted colour. One of my little stamp butterflies that's been put onto some felt with a vintage button and a vintage button label. I have runny stitched very messily. It's difficult to sew through the paper, but that's okay. I've run stitched through that, and now using my pinking shears I've just cut up some bits of felt. And this is an old blanket that I've got, that we bought from IKEA like donkeys years ago, and it's, you know, it's run its course. We've got other blankets that are nicer that we use. So I've cut it up with my pinking shears, cut it up with some felt from the pinking shears, and I've just made 2 pages, because you don't really need, because it's a needle book, you don't need as many pages as that. I mean, I've put that intentionally because I've got lots of needles so that I can like put it in the middle of a table and people can grab needles out of. You don't need lots and lots of pages. So we are just going to do a really simple stitch, and we're going to do the 3 pamphlet stitch, the 3 stitch that you do for junk journals. It'll work just as well for this. It's good practice if you've not sewn a journal before, because this is basically what this is. And if people sort of say, like, because some people make stitchery journals, this is the same. If you put a couple more pages in there, that's your little stitchery journal. It can be made, you know, in any way. You can use different fabric. You don't have to use felt. You could use t-shirt material. You could use denim. Use canvas. Like, this is a mixture of denim and canvas with then felt inside. And this felt that's very fine, this is the dishcloth felt that I used to give my daughter to, because it's not thick. There's no thickness to it. There's no... Do I want this? What colour do I want? I don't want that. That would look wrong. But these cottons, like I was the first person to use that cotton, and normally the hole's been pushed through. Like, there are some that have had the hole pushed through, that they've been used on a sewing machine. That one's not been used at all. Do I want to use that pink? No, I think I will stick with the olive. It's a little bit boring, but it goes well with this because this is quite a muted thing. So we just want to make enough so that we can double it over. So I'm going to use these scissors I got out of that lot. The cabinet from the vintage haul are very nice weight to them, good scissors. Kind of replaced my shears. I have some like Fisker ones that are quite modern, but those ones are really nice to use. Not to be used on paper, of course. So this is me. I'm going to have to thread this offline, because offline, as in I'm bringing it to me and I am wet in the end. Let's see if I can do it not bringing it to me then. I've got my glasses on. Had my eyes tested the other week. And for a 50-year-old lady, apparently they're really good, even though I wear a size +2. Size +2? Prescription +2? I don't know how you talk about glasses, really. But he was alright with me. So we've got our length of thread. We're going to imagine 3 places, a centre and 1 on each side. I've pinned it in, but I'm going to take the pin out. We're going to go in through the centre and leave a tail. And then we're going to come up in a straight line. It's easier on a book because you've kind of got the stuff marked out. But there we go. We're going to do that. We're going to go all the way down to the bottom and go out. Hold on to these tails and come out. And then we're going to go back in the middle and on the other side. And that's how you would stitch up a junk journal. But you can use it for a needle book. You can do it different ways. You could just do a running stitch all the way down. That's a running stitch you just can't see because it's kind of on pale fabric. But this is a quicker way. I've got a Lily shouting for her dad. I think that's my daughter who's coming back and she's not got any keys on her. She's going to keep ringing the doorbell. Oh, little tyke. I'm just wondering if somebody can hear her. There we go. But that's it. That's your needle book. You could put a little bit of ribbon on if you want. Sorry about the people noise in the background. You could put a little ribbon on to keep it tidy, keep it closed. You won't really need it though. And then you could put your leaves, put your needles in. Keep your needles safe, otherwise they end up everywhere. and then they end up in somebody's foot, and then they're shouting. You know the story. So there we are. I've had a lovely time putting together these things for a bit of a slow stitch, and they will be a part of my new thing, which is going to be advent calendar. I'm going to make several sizes of them. This one is one for a swap. This one is going to be for a giveaway. And then we're going to have some really big ones that I'm actually going to, when I open my Etsy shop, they'll be available in my Etsy shop, and they'll like be big luxury ones that'll be full of my handmade junk journal and slow stitch elements. So lots of time would have gone into them. Quality materials, because even though this is from a sample book that, you know, would have been thrown away, this is quality silk and cotton, and silk cotton, like kind of velvet here, some vintage materials. So these things will end up, not that because that's my use, but these things will end up in one of these advent calendars. So the plan is, and this is the one that we're going to develop mainly because this is the giveaway, so it'll probably be the smaller one just because of the size of the book. The plan is there will be 24 little gifts in this book. Now this is an old book from 1895, and to be entered in the giveaway, I want you to keep commenting, because I'd like some comments on the videos. So if you've enjoyed it, I'm going to start it from this video, and that when I get a comment, because I don't get many so I can easily do this, I'm going to take the name of that person and I'm going to put it into a jar. It's going to be very old schooly, and I'll get somebody to pull the name out of the jar sort of at the midpoint in November, so that we can then get the calendar into somebody's hands, even if you're in Australia or America or New Zealand, for the beginning of December. So this is going to be turned into a mini luxury advent calendar that's going to have loads of bits and pieces, things that we've already made. You know, we've made little mini journals, there'll be covered paper clips, there'll be like paper fairies, there'll be all kinds of things in this advent calendar, all parcelled up, so you'll get a little present every day in December running up to Christmas. It's a very pretty book. I'm going to make it so that you can keep the book and actually make this into a journal. I don't want to destroy this in any way, so we'll make something so that we can hang the presents on, and you can take it off, and then you can get Geoffrey Mead Waldo from Father Christmas 1895. You'll get the message in that Father Christmas wrote in there for this history book. So there we go. Details of my giveaway, the very beginnings of it, and a slow stitched beautiful needle case that you can make. If you can go in and out, you can definitely make this needle case. This one will go in there. I'll finish that off today. So there we go. If you want to be entered into the competition, give us a comment. I would say every name, I'm making the rules up now, but once I finalise the rules, I'll put them on the community page. So every time you comment, that's another entry in. So if you comment on every video, then you'll get however many entries in. I will do it that way so that you get as many entries as possible. It's a bit like buying tickets then, so you can buy 10 tickets or you can just buy one. So you can make one comment or you can make 10. Yeah. I think that'll be alright. I hope people will comment. If you just want to comment, join the competition, or just join us on this adventure, please press subscribe, hit the little bell, give me a comment, give me a like, do the sharing thing, all those YouTubey things that help this little channel grow. I am immensely enjoying doing what I'm doing, and I just want to see it grow from strength to strength. So if you've already subscribed, thank you. If you've already commented and liked, thank you. Let's just keep building it and yeah, see what comes from it. I'm just enjoying it, and I'm enjoying sharing what I do. So get out there, get some things that already exist and go and create something. And I hope to talk to you tomorrow with a flip through of a junk journal. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.